So, Susan, I'm really excited to hear from you today about bringing some of your wisdom and experience around why mystics matter so much and why now.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mystic Revolution. Join Susana and Wendy for insightful conversations and guided meditations.
Hello, and welcome to our first show of Mystic Revolution with myself, Wendy R. Wolf, and
Susana Dumett.
Yay! And today we're going to be talking about our first part of 7 reasons why Mystic Revolution and why now. And this first part is why mystics matter. That's what we're getting into today, but let's start with a little meditation. So just let yourself be comfortable in your chair and tune into your inner world by closing your eyes. Feel your skin. Notice your breath. Call all your attention back here now, centered. And we're already supported by the earth and connected with the earth. Notice that connection by noticing your weight in the chair and the pull of the heart of the earth all the way from your lower body to the earth. And let's let go like sand in our hands of everything that's not now, so we can just tune in together and have a good time. One more deep breath. And we'll get rolling.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to talk to you about this. And I think given all the things that have happened in the last couple of years, and every day seems like there's something new stirring, something new coming up. I would say one of my top reasons for turning to mysticism or tuning into your own mysticism is to find inner strength and inner sovereignty. You know, when we're in the midst of change and things are feeling chaotic, I know there's a lot of fear out there and it's challenging to deal with uncertainty. When we can stop and turn inward, we can find a certainty there that can carry us through. And I know, obviously, I know that you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it's this deeper connection with inner self that is also a deeper connection with all that is. And I know we'll get into a little bit more of that, but it's different from looking outward at the world and wanting to get validation or confirmation or be certain about these sequence of things happening so I can be okay. It's going inward, understanding your own capabilities, your capacity for resilience, the vast store of resources and insight that you may not even realize you have. And that is really the key to navigating these uncertain times.
Yeah.
So I know you have a lot to say about that.
Well, when you're talking, what came from me is one of the things I talk a lot about and mean to practice is being here, being now, being with what is.
It's
just essential practice. And, that it comes down to strength and inner strength and sovereignty. It's living on the rock and not on shifting sand all the time. And being able to be with ourselves and with all that is, or source, or whatever you call it, and with each other. All this is part of being a mystic.
Right. And It's challenging. Everything in our culture is sort of set up for us to look outside of ourselves for validation, for acceptance, for everything. And so choosing to let go of that, step away from that, and turn inward, to find that strength. It is, we talk about mystic revolution. It is revolutionary. I mean, obviously, there's been, for decades, there's been, self-help and inner work kinds of teachings going out in the world. But I think with the internet and the inundation of media and news and opinions, if you don't have that solidness in yourself, you can really fall into a lot of anxiety and stress, having challenges making decisions, knowing what to do, and tuning into that inner world, which is also the outer world. It's like sort of a different way of seeing and navigating things. Yeah.
And so much more comfortable.
Yeah. So much more comfortable. Right? But, I didn't really fully come to that realization until I went through sort of the worst of the worst discomfort. And then finally it dawned on me, finally I was, it came to me that this might be an easier way to get through stuff.
And, it reminds me, a theme that we're going to be seeing a lot is that people relate to being a mystic or whatever words or an empath as very sensitive. And that's true. And that's something we'll deal with about how to support ourselves with. But
yes,
the opposite side of it is that we have all this information with which we can be strong and be in charge.
Truly.
It's two sides of the same coin.
It really is. And that's the idea of we have access to strength, resources, information that we, may not fully realize until we decide to take a look. And to your point about, people being sensitive, and sometimes, well, I'll just say, for a while that felt like a huge curse for me, to be so sensitive and just feeling everybody else's feelings all the time. What I learned to do on this mystic path is to really own it, not be afraid of it, step into it even more, be in the most intense of intensities, knowing that I can handle it, coming to know that I could handle it. And so with that, that kind of brings me to another reason for mystic revolution, is that in turning that way or turning towards that, you automatically heighten your compassion from a place of strength. There's a difference between empathy or sympathy, that you get overwhelmed by other people's stuff. Heightened compassion means that you literally, you can see and sense what it's like to be in their shoes. You're not projecting your own stuff or matching them. And in that heightened compassion, we can really see and know each other for who we truly are, rather than stereotypes or what we think certain people are, or because someone shows up a certain way, that's what this means. And so that heightened compassion, heightened sensory perception, and then perspective. And you and I talk a lot about perspective, and being able to be so solid in your own alignment that you can sort of, I say pop up, but you can allow yourself to see and sense from different directions and from other people's point of view without getting triggered, without getting charged, just simply to gather information to understand.
Yes.
Yeah. I know you have a lot to say about that too. So please jump in.
I'm just so that is so exciting to me. Like I was just writing about this on Facebook a little bit. It's like, it's absolutely incredibly, it's world changing for us to be able to stand in different people's shoes and see around a situation, not just from our own perspective. It changes everything. And us doing it, I think, helps other people out. It's one of my big things. Us doing it helps others, I think.
Yeah. I mean, anytime someone can do that, it completely, it changes the dynamics around you.
Yeah.
And it sets a whole different level of operating, if you will. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's like, that leads to true empathy, like really being able to get what it is to be in their shoes, as opposed to other patterns that aren't as healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in that, you build the muscles to be able to hold your own energy, your own strength, even when others can't, even when others aren't. And, you and I both work with sensitive people, highly sensitive people. And when I talk about, expanding your sensory perception or building that, some people are like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to shut it down. And the interesting thing is, the more you lean into it, the more you master it, if you will. You learn to master it, right? Instead of like trying to hold it back and don't feel it, don't see it. You take the reins of it, or you, as you like to say, you take the place of captain of the ship.
Yes.
And that heightened sensing without getting overwhelmed gives us just a bigger picture, a bigger and truer picture of a person, of a situation. It opens greater possibility for what could happen, say in a relationship, or really in any aspect of our lives. Yeah.
And like the whole, I mean, it's very common to humans in general for all our stuff, for our emotions. We like to run from our emotions, from our challenges. We like to run from our me included, and then our inner senses as well. And when we do that, we are not in charge. The emotions are in charge,
right?
Or the perceptions are in charge, or right? Like they're rolling us down the hill with them, instead of saying, all right, kids, let's circle up. We're going to talk about this. Yeah.
Let's circle up and talk about this. And in practice, then we learn that we actually have a greater ability to direct energy, to shift dynamics than we may have realized. And when you're doing it from this place of clarity and sovereignty, well, I mean, I'll just speak for myself. I always go in like with the intention of for the highest and best good for myself and others. And that sets the stage for there to be space enough for everyone to show up as they are. So
yeah. And that's what I've learned, is it's not on the outside, right, with all the people and the things, but also on the inside with all because when I first was training as a mystic, like I thought I was so crazy. I had 1,000 different voices in here. And I learned to distinguish, oh, that's my this, that's my that, oh, that's theirs, and that's their, like mine and theirs. I have plenty of voices all by myself. to handle.
Right.
And then all of theirs, and that can be overwhelming, that big overwhelm word, which is a key word, I think,
Yeah.
for noticing their stuff. And then there's all the stuff going on. There's really a lot, but I believe that mystics matter a lot for ourselves and for the world, in that we have the capacity to juggle a whole lot of stuff if we're engaging it.
Yeah. And I know I've heard you say the idea of we can hold it all. We can hold it all without the overwhelm. And I think that goes into, I mean, we can hold, we can hold the opposites of things. We can hold the light, we can hold the shadow, we can be present to suffering without being in suffering. We can hold it all without judgment, without criticizing, without making people bad or wrong. And as someone who used to be like so hugely self-critical, there's no way when you're self-critical it can't translate to outside, right?
Yes.
You'd start projecting your own criticisms on other people, on other situations, and leaning into this path that we're on, gosh, that just became so clear. And that one of the keys is that I had to be, willing to let that go. Now, I'm not perfect with it by any means, and certainly when I'm not in my practice, or I'm super tired, or I haven't eaten enough, or whatever, right? I can fall, of course. But my default is really different now. Like, my default state is so different now, and I think that makes it a lot easier to just get along with people, but also to find solutions to things, to like get more focused on like building a bridge to something rather than like tearing each other down. Yeah.
For me, that goes in the whole category of like, it's amazing, but on an energetic level, if I'm in a waterfall of a particular gift or blessing or uncomfortable energy, like judgment or whatever, it's shared. We're together in that field.
Yeah.
So if I show up in self-judgment, I'm also projecting judgment. It's just that there's judgment everywhere. Whereas if I'm showing up in amusement, there's amusement everywhere. Everybody just starts having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it makes me think, I used to think like, if I'm thinking something or I'm feeling something inside, whatever, no one knows. That doesn't have an impact on anything. If I'm thinking a thing or I'm feeling a thing, I'll just show up, and it actually does. And if you're sensitive, you know it right away. But even if you aren't, there's a flavor. The flavor, whatever you're hiding or sort of suppressing, it comes out anyway. So I think one of the things that I'll add to why this matters is that allowing yourself to face some truths, accept some things, change some things that you can change. I mean, all of these things are helpful right now as we're navigating a pretty tumultuous world. And I think that kind of goes into a next point, which is because of the idea of suffering, I think mystic leanings, mystic practices help help people face the things that they've been afraid to look at. And these can be inside. I mean, it might be related to past trauma. It might be all sorts of things, but it's also in how we engage with people on the outside, and some greater truths about the culture we're living, about the world that we're living in. And I think so many of our problems, personally and collectively, come from not tending to our own woundedness.
Mm-hmm.
Our own woundedness as individuals, but also, again, as the collective. And I think we've talked about this before, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. It's understanding this path helped me when I got on it to really start to understand that one's suffering does not define who we are.
Amen.
Yeah, and that knowing the darkness or shadow and suffering are part of the human experience, but that there are tools and resources that we can use to be present to it and tend to it rather than ignore it or pretend it's not there. And, we all know that so many of the things that are going on collectively are the result of kind of not paying attention. And so when we can do that and tend to ourselves and heal ourselves and our dynamics with others, it kind of starts rippling out. And I'd love to hear your perspective on that, right? As we deal with our own things, the ripple effect out into the world.
Yes. So the pain and the suffering and the grist of the darkness is such an intense topic, and we will be saying hello to this a lot over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about it more today, but first I'd like to take a short break, and then we'll come back and we'll delve more into suffering and how it helps us as mystics to be able to dance suffering instead of letting it roll over us all the time.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
And welcome back to Mystic Revolution. And we're talking to Susan about why mystics matter. And so far we've talked about lots of things, including finding our inner strength and sovereignty, having heightened compassion and sensory perception and perspective. And we just started our conversation about facing and tending our suffering directly. So thanks, Susan. What do you want to start us off with?
Well, I think just to sort of finish up the last part of facing our suffering, embracing our shadows, the things that we've been told all along aren't right with us or aren't good enough or whatnot. But obviously, it goes deeper than that into trauma as individuals and trauma, collective trauma. But what the mystic path enables is the ability to see that, hold it, validate it. It's so important to validate it.
Yeah.
But then uplift the truth from that.
Yes.
Right? It's easy to get sucked into I call it the hellhole. It's easy to be so overwhelmed by things that we let suffering define us.
Yes.
But as we just discuss, suffering does not define us. It is an aspect of being a human. But in the more mystic-minded path, you gain the ability to see and hold and uplift the truth of who you are, the truth of others, and just the truth of humans in general. Evil exists, chaos exists. But in my experience, that even in the face of this, most people are just trying to do the best that they can. And we experience things that shape our view of ourselves in the world. And if we don't tend to some of the things that have hurt and harmed us, it can cause us to act out in ways that may hurt others, or that others perceive as being toxic. That's a word that's getting thrown around a lot. But if we can be present to that, we can use our skills of higher sensory perception and discernment to sort of weed out the noise, get at the things that are really true and need tending to, and then find ways to heal them or let them go without causing more harm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think being able to see the divinity or the humanity in others, even if we perceive them as behaving badly, that actually helps us navigate our own emotions, because we have more of a choice in what we make matter, and what we don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah. So we can, what we talked about earlier, we can play our own game instead of being sucked into their game or our old games or whatever. We can start a whole new cycle. And what I kept hearing is something I've said a lot in classes for a long time, which is, where we trip is our treasure. So dig, like all that's showing up in my life again. That's showing up for a reason. So how about I actually dig and find out what, why, and what. And there's actual treasure there. There's lost parts of myself. There's gifts. There's insights. There's wisdom.
Yeah.
Where I trip, if I'm willing to dig. So,
absolutely.
Susan, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
We're going to close for today, and we're going to continue this conversation next time about why mystics matter and why now.
Yeah, and we'll get a little bit more into, as you engage in the practices of mysticism and start opening up your own innate abilities, how that, helps heal yourself and others, and just sets the stage for, I don't want to mix my metaphors, but kind of, right, whatever, we're all about mixing metaphors here, right? You go on a different stage, a different playing, different playing field, right?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I really look forward to our next conversation, Susan.
Me too. So thank you, Wendy.
How about we just have a moment and do a little mystic meditation to close us out?
Sounds
and
great.
We'll be done. So let's tune back into our inner world and notice that we have a lot of ideas come up, and we can just let go and allow whatever happened in this conversation, whatever things that are like, ooh, that's yummy that's a nice caramel for me to chew on later. Keep that. And if there's stuff you're just like, that doesn't work for me, just let that go. Just let go, like sand in your hands. It doesn't all have to be for you. What's yours will stick to you. It's like a spaghetti fight. One of my mentors used to say, what sticks to you is yours. Good. And let's give all of our attention back to Susan that we were holding on to, and back to me, Wendy, and we'll give your attention back to you, and you can just have your life and your beautiful energy, and we'll have ours. Until next time.
Thank you.
And that concludes this portion of Mystic Revolution. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to get notified of new content. Don't forget to like and share. Join the Mystic Revolution. Click on the link in the description to get more information or visit themysticrevolution.com.